Talkin Money.
And we're back. It's Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. That's my name. Don't wear it out. Your buddy Vince is in Texas today. Did he break a finger?
He blew up my phone earlier.
He did. Okay. 339.
You want me to read what he said?
No, I do not want you to read what he said.
Something about burning it down and blowing it up.
Okay. There's nothing that Vince says that could possibly be aired at any point in time. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Our quiz question is still hanging out there. Average U.S. household of 4 people spends about $2,000 a year. Is that what the winner of the quiz question? Oh, we got it. See? Never mind. We got a winner. $2,000 a year throwing this item out or items out. They never even touch it. What is it? Gentlemen?
Food.
Yeah, 25% of all vegetables. Vegetables make up 25% of all the trash in the world. It's vegetables. The waste. Milk and yogurt, 13%. Fruit and juices, 16%. And grains make up 14%. So there's a lot of our trash is just food. So that's a lot of money. You want to save $2,000 a year? Eat out. I don't know if that works. I don't know if those numbers work right or not. So Rod got that correct.
Honey, stop buying the bananas.
Yeah. Nobody ever threw out the chicken McNuggets. That's for sure. So Kent Smith, John Farrar here. We're doing a little 203K talk. And what we're going to do, and we may even continue this into next week in a little bit too, because my concern is that we get too detailed down, and then we start losing people quickly. So what I want to do is take the high level, like the first 5 things we should know, and we'll talk about a little bit about okay, so here I am. I want to buy a house. And I want to buy a house, so step 1, the very basic step 1 is what?
Know your number.
Know your number. So get pre-approved. And then I've used this from day 1 on the radio show. Rule number 1 on the radio show, you can marry more money in a minute than you can make in a lifetime. So that's why my proposition to Oprah is always out there. I will marry Oprah at any given time, and my wife is fine with that. That's rule number 1. Number 2, don't put your wife in a Porsche if she belongs in a VW. Okay? Like they're both made by the same company now.
They are.
They're both decent cars if you like those cars. But once you sit in a Porsche, doesn't matter what color it is, the VW never looks as good or smells as good. Okay? So know your number. What should I be looking at? And, and not just I talked on the phone and I kind of gave this guy some rough figures, because a lot of you lie about how much money you make and how much you owe. I don't know how to put it any more politically correct than that. Someone calls me and says, I made $80,000. They made $80,000 one time, 1 year, and they made $35,000 last year. So, have someone look at your income, look at your debt. Matt was a great example of someone who, if he just called and said, hey, I had a foreclosure in 2007 and I've been doing all these things to build my credit up, and had he not looked at his credit, you'd say, come on in. Yeah. Matt did the right thing. He found out, oh my God, this has been totally reported wrong. That happens. I cannot tell you how many times that happens. It happens all the time. So number 1, I know my number. Number 2
is get that number from a reputable loan source, from a lender, somebody who absolutely knows 203K lending and renovation lending inside and out.
Yeah, so interview them, go back to the lender and say, what do you know about this? How do you know? How do you do it? How many have you done? Right.
I read about brain surgery in a book one time. Okay? I know where your brain is located. Well, most of you. Half of you are sitting on it. But I don't think you want me doing brain surgery for you because I saw it on, QTV last week. So John's right. Our borrowers are great about interviewing when it comes to refinance. What's your rate? What's your rate? What's your fees? But when it comes down to, and that's the bread and butter. We're talking about a very potentially complex scenario. So John's right. I'm interviewing you. What is your credit? What is your, all your income? I'm getting all the numbers. You should be interviewing me. How many of you guys done? Are you guys doing these? Is this the first one you've done? What do they smell like, look like, and feel like? What should I know? Okay, so number 2, I've interviewed you. You interviewed me. Now what? Now where do we go?
Go out and go shop.
Got to find a house. So we had a realtor call earlier, and she was a person that I could tell. We all looked at each other and said, that's a person that knows what she's doing. She's been on it. Her name was Annie, quote unquote. She had clients out there. She had the inspector out there. She was on it. And realtors are very, very good. They're phenomenal. That's their job at taking the reins and busting it, man. We're okay. You're in my playing field now. I'm going to run the ball. I'm going to run you to the goal line. Okay, that is a typical process for a realtor in a purchase transaction, which is the way it should be. However,
For this particular transaction, let the loan consultant or the lender take the lead.
Okay. So the lender certainly is going to take my so I'm the borrower. I got my pre-quote letter in my hand from John. I know my number. Okay, I'm looking for, and remember, my number is a finished number, right?
Correct.
So my number is, let's just say $300,000. $300,000 is my number. Okay, I got a realtor, and I'm looking for $300,000 houses, but I am starting to find that the stuff that I'm seeing at $300,000 is not. It's not hitting me right. And I'm a type A personality. I don't like the way you did your kitchen. I don't like the way you did your bath. I like to do my own stuff. So I am going to. So I guess I need to back my number up a little bit then, right?
Well, if 300 was your number, you would want to start searching for homes in the 250, 225, 250, 265 range to give you that space between that list price and kind of what you're thinking about renovation-wise, or kind of what your number is for that.
Okay, so on the 203, so let's say that I have made the decision that for whatever reason I'm gonna do a 203K. I just want to I want to put my own stink on the house. I don't want to buy your stink.
Well,
okay?
lipstick.
Yeah, that's right. Lipstick on the pig. So I am. Should I be someone who has cut out all these articles out of the paper? Here's the kitchen I want. Should I already talked to my next door neighbor knows how to reframe a bathroom? Should I have numbers from him? What should I do here? What should I have in my hand?
I think it would be hugely important for you to have an idea of what you would like to see.
Okay.
What you want, what your wish list is, kind of what your Sunset Magazine cover is, so to speak.
Okay.
And then I think it's important to put that down on paper. I think that's important to also communicate that with your lender as well.
Okay.
And then contractor at the same time. You want to get everybody, all the players on the same page. Have the lender be the point guard for the basketball team, and have the other players.
So my buddy John here to the left, he's an awesome snowboarder, and he has a killer set of tools. So should I hire John can I hire John to remodel my house? Because his dad was a TV repairman back in the old 80s.
Well, you can.
Okay.
Companies out there, lenders out there will allow you to do self-help or friends and family.
Can I do it myself?
You can.
Okay.
However, I don't recommend it. Never
Okay.
recommend it, never recommend it, never recommend it. Referring back to Jeff's brain surgery scenario, if you're a brain surgeon, perform brain surgery. If you're a snowboarder, snowboard. If you're a snowboarder, don't perform brain surgery.
So a good lender.
But we have two lists, though. We have the list of what we want, and then we have a list of what's necessary or needed by a fee inspector, a home inspector, and an appraiser. So we have two lists here, and then from there, contractor's going to start looking at costs and then value.
So that's a good point, because I skipped over. I went right to I'm a typical buyer. I don't care if the house is falling down. I want my stuff in it. So I've identified a property, and so the 203K program is going to mandate certain things be in that house whether I want them or not. Is that what you're telling
Correct.
me? Okay.
Correct.
So what are the kind of things? What are these fee inspectors and these appraisers? What are they looking for?
Health and safety issues.
Okay.
Caulking, fire doors, smoke alarms, just everyday general health and safety stuff.
Okay. Pest.
Broken glass.
Correct.
Leaky brown
Leaks,
roof in
dry
the kitchen.
rot.
Okay. So keeping it on the high level here. So number one, I got my number. Number two, I got my realtor. Number three, I found a house. Number four, I've made my wish list. Let's call it a wish list right now, because I know I'm not going to get it all. Number five now. So I've got my house and my wish list in my hand, and so who's going out to look at this house, and whose responsibility is it to send people out to this house to do what? My lender's pulling the ball now a little bit?
I would ultimately say it's going to be your lender to coordinate everything time-wise, get everybody on the same page. My advice would be to get everybody out of the property at the same time: lender, realtor, borrower, contractor.
And this fee inspector you keep talking about.
Fee inspector, HUD consultant, and probably before he, she, or they go out to the property, I would advise that a pest inspection be done.
Okay.
And or home inspection be done.
Before they come out?
Before they come out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they have it in hand, basically.
Correct.
Okay.
I think it would be hugely important to know from a borrower standpoint and a realtor standpoint and a lender, everybody involved, a pest inspection is done if there's been some issues that have been called out. Some of those issues could total $25,000 or $30,000.
Yeah, that's ugly.
Which basically means
all your money went to
go fix up a house. And in the contingency period, if you as a borrower don't like what you see on the report, you can say, hey, stop. I don't want this property. This is not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Let's go find something else.
So let's talk about, because our realtor mentioned time. Let's talk about what kind of time we need. So because the clock starts once you sign the contract. So all the this is why it's so important to get the pre-stuff out of the way so you don't waste any of your escrow time getting pre-approved, right? I mean, that could be a time killer on its own. So I already went to John well before I even called a realtor. He knows I want the 203K. He knows I got a wish list. He knows my number's 300,000. So he's got all my stuff. He and I are cool. We know the number is good. Now I hired a realtor. Now we found a house. Now the seller signed the contract. Boom, we're on day one, right? So day one is officially started. And like all sellers, the pre-printed contract says you have 14 days to get your contingencies removed. Is that enough time to get everybody out? It seems like you had to come out like in a big, huge huddle on day one, and we're going to, everybody's got to be on the same page, or this isn't going to work.
Yeah, everybody absolutely has to be on the same page. If everybody is on the same page and you have a team of skilled expert professionals, 14 days is possible, not probable. My advice would be to write for 25-day contingency removal.
Okay, because here's the challenge as I see it, and I'm still the buyer. I can get an appraisal done in 14 days. I can get the fee inspector out there in 14 days. I can get the home inspection. I can get the pest inspection. I can get my wish list together. I can get all that stuff together. But that's going to take me to say 10 days. And now in 4 days I'm supposed to have all this information over to my contractor. He's going to give me bids back on what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to make an intelligent decision. And it's going to take him 4 days just to get the prices of what needs to be done. And then where does the appraiser come in as far as my wish list and what this thing is going to value? How does the appraiser know that I want all granite or all tile countertops? And he's got to go out and price all this together too, because he may come back and say, this is going to be a gorgeous house, Jeff, but it doesn't appraise.
Yeah, the appraiser is going to be provided with all that information when they go out and do the inspection.
The initial inspection.
So they'll have the bid, they will have the wish list, they'll have the report, information from the fee inspector or the HUD consultant that's out there. They'll have all that information to determine a number, the value to the property, after improved value to the property. So they'll have all that information.
So yeah, it's heavy up front, but once you have that cleared and everything goes in, it's submitted, you're covered. From there, it's, for lack of a better word, kind of gravy to the end. But yeah, it's very heavy up front on research and
so one of the advantages, we got the 2-minute warning there. One of the advantages that we offer at Comstock is that we've got kind of this hand-holding team, if you will, that your loan originator is going to help you with the number part of it, but then we have a separate level of experts who are going to take you through and kind of pull this thing through the process for you, because I think that for someone who originates loans, and my job is as a deal people, that's a lot of extra work that I'm not necessarily familiar with, and so having that handoff, that ball handoff to that team, I think is critical. We've got 1 minute left, so we're going to have to come back to this issue again. I can see. If you want to, get a hold of us during the week, you can do that. John, what number do people call you? What do you
916-295-5168.
295-5168. So that's John Fodderero. If you want to get some information from him on any of the stuff we talked about today or the 203K, you can find my website as jefftarbell.com. My number is 338-9400, or you can follow me on Facebook. So we'll do this again. If you guys want to come in next weekend, you're more than welcome to do that. We can continue pick up from there and continue on. We didn't even get to half of this stuff either. These poor kids are going to have to spend their billions of dollars without us. I bet they don't need a 203K loan. If you sold Instagram for $1 billion, I don't think we'll be getting a loan from them. Hey, that's the sound that we're out of here. We'll see you next week, everybody. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Get a little more skiing in while there's still some snow left. It's awesome. We'll see you next week. Aloha.
Ciao.